Call in by clicking the link in the stream's description. The professor wants to hear from you.
On the cusp, not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good car.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back and focus on what's in front of me. Everybody dates a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Isn't it lovely?
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I am Professor Bear, and this is A Bear's Thought. And today, the show is sponsored by our good friends at Chops Cards and Print on Demand. Are you in the need of getting yourself or your wrestling promotion trading cards? Well, Chops Cards is one of the best companies you can work for. Their quality is so done well, and they have different types of trading cards. To me, and this is just my opinion, they're one of the best trading card companies out there. And because you're listening to Professor Bear, I'm going to get you 15% off your entire purchase. All you have to do is make sure you put in the code BEAR15, and you would take 15% off your entire person. That is Chops Cards and Print on Demand, your number one for print, trading cards and print demands. Now, we are here today with my guest, who is a indie wrestler that I am looking forward to learning more about her as much as you are my fans. I say fans, but we all know that you're a Forest family. So, with that being said, let me welcome Kaitlin Diemond. How are you doing today?
Kaitlin Diemond.
I'm sorry. Let me just say this. I've been doing this for quite a while, and it seems like every time I'm so excited about a guest, I flub up their name. I did it with Ron Fuller. I don't know, but anyway, how are you doing today after that crappy introduction?
I'm doing great. You put a smile on my face. It's all good.
Well, good. I wish I would have did it another way, but hey, I would take it any way I can.
We're live, pal.
Exactly. So, the question I always like to start with is, how did you get into wrestling? When was the first time that you was like, hey, I like this?
I was probably about 7, and my older brother watched wrestling because it was cool during the Attitude Era. And so I thought my brother was cool, so I just copied everything my brother did. And my brother liked wrestling at the time, so I liked wrestling. And then, eventually, a few years later, he grew out of it, but I liked it so much that I never stopped watching it.
Oh, wow. So who was your favorite wrestler back then?
Growing up, Chris Jericho was, pretty much my top guy. Chris Jericho, the Hardys, Lita, Trish Stratus, China, Triple H.
So, since you brought up the Hardys, what do you think about them winning the NXT tag team titles?
I think it's pretty cool. You know, they get kind of one last hurrah in WWE, and I'm sure they'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame very soon.
And another cool thing is they have one more match against the Dudley Boys next week for both sets of titles. So that'll be interesting.
Very interesting. I'm going to be watching.
But enough about them. Let's get back to you. So tell me how you got into professional wrestling.
Basically, always knew that I wanted to do it, and I had a lot of friends that were older than me, so like when I was still in middle school, most of my friends were in high school by that point. I don't know why, that's just kind of the way it worked out. And my friend who was in high school had met a wrestler, like a guy that went to high school with her who wrestled. And she introduced me to him, and they were running their own shows. But they weren't properly trained, but they would fly in wrestlers to essentially teach them stuff before their shows. And she hooked me up with them, and I started training with them. And a local trainer found out that we were doing this, and he was like, I could just train you guys. His name was Mike O'Shea. He's a great guy. He's like, I could just train you guys so you don't have to fly somebody in every month. And we were like, sweet, let's do that. I never paid to fly anybody in, mind you, but I just kind of caught them on the tail end of that.
Uh-huh.
So it all kind of worked out.
I was sitting here wondering, wait a minute, how in the hell does high schoolers have enough money to fly people in? Well, hey, you know what? Hey, what you do is your business, not mine.
Yeah, some of them had jobs, honestly, and obviously allowances and stuff like that. So I don't know how they were pulling it off, but they managed to do it. They found sponsors and stuff. Like, they were smart. I think back to that, and now that I'm involved on the other side of wrestling, like booking and promoting, I think of like how smart they were, just as people that had no clue what they were doing. So kudos to Ryan Denham and Keith Chambers and Andrew Chambers.
That is something amazing, because as a kid, I would, as much as I love wrestling, I would have had no idea how to start, and I know I would have screwed something up. So
yeah, for sure. It was a story that was meant to happen and unfold the way that it did.
So how long did you train before you stepped foot in the ring?
I trained for 13 months, and I was doing a seminar I'm Canadian, so I was doing a seminar in the United States. I had just turned 16 years old. It was a Dr. Tom Pritchard 2-day camp. And he's like, have you debuted yet? And I said no, because at the time in Ontario, they had an athletic commission. And so in order to uphold the rules of the athletic commission, you had to be 18 years old and you had to have a wrestling license. Well, I was only 16. And he's like, well, there's no athletic commission in Tennessee, so guess what? You're having your debut match tonight. Thought it was pretty cool.
That is kind of ironic too, because I am in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
I was not far from Knoxville. I was about an hour from Knoxville. Oh man, trying to think of the name of that tiny little town.
La Follette?
No.
Wasn't La Follette. Because Dr. Tom and Kane have a training center in La Follette, Tennessee, right now.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't there, but it was, man. It was about an hour from Knoxville. I can tell you that.
Okay, that is cool. definitely love Dr. Tom. He's one of the uh, best people in wrestling that does not get the enough love for help training and guiding so many talented people in the way of the business.
100%. And like, I've done his camp twice. Um, he's one of the people who early on believed in me, and he had no, like, he didn't have to. Like, I could have went and done his seminar and then never seen him again, and he could have had my money and it could have called it a day. But he really pushed for me to debut. And actually, now that I'm training people, I bought his book on how to train professional wrestlers. So like, the knowledge gets carried down.
I'm so glad to hear that, because I think unfortunately there is it's starting to become a lost art because people do not take it serious enough, and there's a lot of people who's getting into business that have this ideal of, if you do a cool spot, that's all you need, instead of
Yeah,
being trained and learning and being able to listen.
exactly.
So, in your debut match, how first of all, how did you feel when he told you you were going to have your debut match?
I was really excited. I mean, I was 16 years old, like maybe like 5 days past my 16th birthday. So I was very excited. Um, and it was a simple concept that they booked me in. It wasn't anything like crazy over the top 20-minute Broadway. It was like a local heel came out and he disparaged the crowd. I was sitting in the crowd and he challenged somebody in the crowd, and then I ended up being the person that answered the challenge. And we did like 3 things in the ring, and then he beat me. So it was like simple enough for me to know that I wasn't going to forget anything, which made it even better because I could really like pour my emotion out rather than sitting around nervous that I'm going to forget something.
It's great to hear. And hearing your story, that is such a unique way of getting your first match.
Yeah,
So,
I never really think about it until I do interviews like this, and I realize that nobody quite has a story like that.
so, how long were you, once you got your training, did you go back to Canada and get your license, or did you have to wait until you were 18?
I didn't have to wait long, so I went back to Canada because I was still in high school, obviously, so I had to finish that up. And before I had even graduated high school, I think I was 17, Lufisto actually sued the Ontario Athletic Commission because they wouldn't allow intergender wrestling. And that's kind of BS. And that's how she was making a lot of her money at the time. So she sued them for gender discrimination, and she won. So then the Ontario Athletic Commission was completely abolished, and I was able to wrestle. So thanks, Jen.
Oh, wow. So, how long did you wrestle until you won your first title?
That is a question that I wish I could remember. And I honestly can't remember. I don't remember the first, maybe I remember the first title I won. Might have been in Niagara Falls. So that was maybe 2011. So quite a while. I wrestled, no, did I win one before? Yeah, I did. Same promotion that I'm thinking of, just a different year. I wrestled for about 4 years before I won a title, but I mean, I was still in high school, so it's not like my bookings were consistently every weekend. It was just kind of here and there where I could, not have to study or do homework. But still, 4 years, long time to wait.
Yeah. But sometimes I think that some people have to wait, and it does them better to wait than to get a first title within a year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um,
It definitely humbles you.
and I think too that it helps build your training up and your confidence. So once you win that first title, you know you've earned that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was really excited when I got it and still a little immature because I think I was technically 19 when I won it. So it was more like 3 years, but I'd been training since I was 14. So really, if you think about it, it was kind of 5 years.
Which is amazing. I sit and think about that with
Yeah.
different wrestlers training didn't start training until their mid 20s, early 30s. So I mean, you had a great start and you had a chance to learn so much.
Yeah, I really got after it because I knew even with it being not like legal for me to do so in the place that I lived, which is a huge place. If you think about the size of Ontario, a lot of Americans don't know this. It's about double the size of Texas. It's a
Oh
huge
wow.
province. So I just had to get out of there, or else I was never going to be able to debut fast enough. I'd go crazy before I debuted.
So, oh wow. So you did that. You put in the work. You got your first title. Uh, what did you do as far as with your career after winning? How long did you just go at it and grind for?
If I was 19 when I won that, I was trying to remember if I was 23 or 24 when I moved to Mexico. I think I had just turned 24. So, like, another 5 years of just kind of like working the indies around my area. You know, once in a while Michigan, once in a while New York, once in a while Quebec, but nothing too crazy or notable. Um, and then, yeah, I just decided one day, like, nothing's really happening for me. And I'm not sure how to make it happen, but I know that I have to leave. So I quit my job, I sold all my things, and I moved to Mexico.
Man, that you're talking about really betting on yourself. You really had uh, uh you really had real grit about what you wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that, like, the typical person's life was not the life that I wanted to live. I didn't want to be boring. I didn't want a 9 to 5. I needed more than that. So while I was working and doing, independent shows on the weekend, I was saving as much money as I possibly could so that I'd have enough money to quit my job and sell my stuff and move somewhere where I could advance my learning.
So with that move to Mexico, what was that like as far as um did you train more there?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was the difference training there from training in Tennessee and in your hometown?
So everything's backwards there. They do everything with the right side instead of the left side. So that it was like I was a beginner again, like day one stuff. And I felt kind of stupid and I felt kind of like, wow, I think I suck at this. And it's like I had to basically like toughen myself up because wrestlers that train in Mexico are no joke. I was training at the AAA dojo in Mexico City. Just to get up to the ring, you have to climb like 11 flights of stairs.
Oh Jesus.
And this place has no air conditioning. the elevation in Mexico City is like 7,000% higher than Toronto. So already you're at a disadvantage that way, and then it's just swampy and hot 24/7, even in the winter. So like you're drenched in sweat by the time you reach the top of the stairs to start your training, where they then put you through a series of impossible cardio techniques. And I figured out really fast that I kind of sucked, and I had to work on myself a lot, basically.
But I mean, clearly you did, and it paid off for you. And and I think too, you have an advantage where a lot of guys and girls don't, because you were willing to go and relearn a different style, and that only makes you more credible.
I think so. Yeah, like it definitely helped me a lot. Like when I came back from Mexico, a lot more people wanted to book me. They wanted to see what I learned there and stuff like that. So it did a lot for my career, definitely. And just the people I was able to learn from over there. If you're a longtime AAA fan, you would know like Ray Phoenix, Super Crazy, Jennifer Blake, Ty Valkyrie, all had a little bit of a hand in training me over there. Australian Suicide, who just passed away last year, all had a hand in helping me out while I was down there. So,
man, that right there is the who's who of AAA, just great wrestlers. I mean, hell, if Ray Phoenix, I mean, come on.
yeah.
So
I'm sure he wouldn't remember me if his life depended on it today, but we hung out and we trained together for about 6 months.
with that training, and I'm assuming too that you wrestled down there while you were training.
Yes.
With getting that in ring style and everything, when you decided to come back to the States, did you find it a lot easier than before you left?
Yeah. So again, I was still living in Canada at the time, so I went back to Canada, but I felt like I had so much a better grasp of everything wrestling because I just spent so much time in a ring when I was there. Like I didn't have a job anymore. So all I had to worry about was going to the gym and training. So it gave me a huge advantage. And then, yeah, wrestling in Canada felt like a breeze after that.
That's great. That's great. So, with that being said, tell me how your career went from there.
Well, I decided that I wasn't going to get a job when I came home, and I was just going to wrestle full time and see where it took me. So I did a lot of Canadian death tours. If you've ever read like Edge's book, he talks about them a lot. It was kind of like a rite of passage for a lot of Canadian wrestlers. You hop in these cargo vans and you drive over these frozen lakes into these obscure native communities all over the country. And sometimes you're driving for like 30 hours to get from one show to the next. And it's kind of dicey because you're like, we're literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, if we break down, we're going to die. So that toughened me up mentally as well as physically. I did a lot of those. I toured all over Canada, like a lot of Eastern Canadian tours. I spent about 8 weeks out in British Columbia as well, staying with a friend and getting bookings out there. And when I was on my way home from a death tour, I got a call from cheerleader Melissa saying that they wanted me at Stardom in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of the next chapter for me, was going to
Wow.
Japan.
When you were talking about the death tour, one of the first persons that popped in my mind was Adrian Adonis.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Adrian's, and I can almost remember to the day I found out he had passed away, and it was on a road trip going
In
somewhere.
Newfoundland. I've wrestled extensively in Newfoundland, which is an island off of Canada, and undoubtedly driven those same roads that he drove down. Wrestled all over that province. So
Mm.
there's a lot of rich history in Canadian wrestling, and you can get so many good reps just being there.
And to me, it sounds Canada sounds no different than in the U.S. Like, especially when I think about in the Southern wrestling, there's so many great little wrestling towns that people would probably never heard of, and the
Yeah.
only way you heard of it because you went there and wrestled for a hot dog or something. But
You'd only know the place existed if you were trying to find it.
exactly, or you were driving through and you like, what is this little town?
Yeah, for sure.
So you got the call to go to Stardom. So tell me what was that like going to Japan?
It was a culture shock. I was told a lot of things by a lot of peers that had been to Japan before going over, like just certain things, like always take your shoes off. If someone offers you food, always say yes and eat it, even if it's disgusting. And I'm not a huge fan of raw fish. So you could imagine my first night on the town, Rossi, who he owns Marigold now, but he used to own Stardom at the time, said, it was me and Piper Niven. Let's go out. I'll treat you guys. Okay, cool. And he proceeded to order everything on the menu.
Jeez.
And they just keep bringing this food out. I'm going, what did this guy spend 15 grand on dinner? Like, what's going on here? It was outrageous. And then I'm trying to eat everything, and I'm trying not to visibly throw up as I am eating it, and keep a fake smile on my face, like, this is very good. Thank you, Rossi. Good times.
I wouldn't have passed because I hate fish. I hate fish. So I'm like, I'm so not trying to offend you, but I ain't eating this.
Well, it's considered very disrespectful, especially if somebody is offering, because it means they're paying, right?
Right.
And they have this culture there of like respecting your elders, and kind of always listening to them, even if they're crazy. So,
yeah,
yeah.
they've been sending me home. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I did not want that to happen. I was like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I don't want to screw it up by like saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. So
I definitely can imagine. So, after you got used to the culture, how did the wrestling go for you?
it went well. EO Sky was the head trainer there at the time, and we'd train every week, multiple times a week. They definitely kicked my ass for a long time. I want to say it was 3, maybe during the 4th week of training, where I finally finished a class and was like, wow, I don't feel like I'm 6 feet underground. Like, I feel like I actually survived that and got a little bit better this time. So, a lot of crazy cardio that I wasn't used to doing, but also just the toughness and like how hard they hit each other. That was passed on to us in training. I told a story on a different interview where basically they make you do handstands, and if your form is off, like if they can see your feet wiggling, they'll come over and start kicking you in the ribs, and they'll have someone hold your feet up and kick you in the ribs until you stop shaking, which seems impossible. And it was impossible. I never once completed that without shaking, but I was able to do it a lot longer on my last day than I was on my first day. And I think
Right.
that's kind of what it's all about.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful to the women over there, but they seem so small, and
Yeah.
a lot of times I'm like, okay, that may hurt you're getting kicked and going through the motions with someone your size, but most Japanese women are smaller than American women. So I'm like, oh, they can take that. But you're
You
about
ever
to
see
tell
the
me
way they strike?
I just about to say, you're about to tell me something totally different.
Oh, there are firecrackers over there. Like, I went to a kids class once because I was wrestling a kid. I can't remember who it was. Uh, Hiromu something. Or Hiromi, sorry. Hiromu's a male wrestler. Her name was Hiromi, and I can't remember her last name. She doesn't wrestle anymore. But she was still in the kids' class. So I had to go meet her there one day on an off day to talk about our match. And I watched the kids' class go, and I thought, God, I'll be damned. Like, American men, adults, don't train this hard. Like, they are kicking the crap out of each other. And they're like 13 years old. So if you do watch Stardom and you see people now like Starlight Kid and Azume, they were in the kids class at the time that I was over there, and they're big stars now.
And I think too that is and I consider myself a real having a lot of knowledge in wrestling, but of course not being able to be on that side of the barrier. I I have my, I guess, my thoughts of, okay, that can't be, or I don't know. So the older I get, the more I find myself being more open to everybody being true athletes, no matter
Yeah,
you're a man, woman, um, small, big, or whatever. You have to have the mindset and the training to do what you do on a night to night basis. So, with that being said, I've learned and appreciate different styles of wrestling, and I
yeah,
definitely have learned that the Japanese style of wrestling is one of the hardest hitting styles out there.
yeah. There's a video that actually went viral when I was over there, and it was Chelsea Green getting drop kicked in the face by Mayu Iwatani. And I think if you look on GIFs, like you can still find it in GIF form. Like
Oh,
she's sitting on her butt, and she's kind of in between the first and the second rope, and Mayu just flies a million miles an hour, drop kicks her in the chest so hard that Chelsea just flies through the first and second rope. One of the craziest things I've ever seen.
so you have mentioned so many famous wrestlers. How do you feel when you see wrestlers that you've trained with, or you've worked with, or that you know, and they're having the success that they're having versus the person that you know from talking to them?
I'm honestly really happy for everybody. So many people that I've come up with in wrestling have gotten contracts. Uh, you can name a lot of people that are on TV now, and I either know them or I'm like 1 degree of separation away from them. Like, uh, you realize how small of a world it is when you spend 2 decades in it. and you're watching TV every week and it doesn't matter what program it is, and you're like, oh yeah, I know them. Oh yeah, we used to hang out. And it just sounds casual, but like, if you wanted to mention Chelsea Piper, and not Kaylee Ray, Alba Fire, same person. They were all my roommates in Japan.
Oh, wow.
So it's really neat to see them all three on TV together and in the same storyline.
That is neat.
Yeah.
And from your response, I get no jealousy, which is, to be truthful, is very rare, and it speaks to you as a person, because just sitting here talking, I can tell that you're a very genuine person, and you glow when you're talking about other people, and I know I could probably name people right off the top of my head, like, oh, they wouldn't have mentioned them, or I would have brought that name up. Their face, their demeanor would have changed, but you seem legitimately so happy for them. And again,
yeah, I am.
And that speaks so much of you and how humble you are.
Kind of have to be. I mean, definitely when I was still competing, I used to think, like, why them and not me? But then I could think of reasons. Like, look at Chelsea Green. She's absolutely beautiful. You know, I don't present myself that way. I never have and I never will, because that's just not me. That's not who I am. And actually, funny story, Chelsea and I both auditioned for Tough Enough, and they called us both back. And when they interviewed me, they asked me about her. They said, like, what do you think about Chelsea? We heard you guys know each other. And I said, yeah, I wrestled her. It was one of her first matches she ever had. And she's just a great person with a great attitude. And I really get along with her great. And, like, I don't know if they thought that I was going to be catty, or they just wanted to see what my attitude was like. But I tell the truth, you know? She's a hard worker. She's stunning. And that's marketable. And I'm perhaps not the most marketable person. So when I ask myself, why them and not me, that's why. And I have to be okay with that, because I choose not to present myself that way, you know? So I've done a lot of growth, and it was never from a malicious place, but I was a little bit jealous when I would see my friends succeeding and be like, oh man, there goes another one. But ultimately, super happy for them.
Well, I was going to say, we're all humans who don't want to be a star, who doesn't want to be at the top level.
Right.
But that's, again, it says so much about you that you can sit here and talk glowingly about other people and their success and you being proud of them. And like I said, I get no jealousy vibes from you. And again, that speaks so much about you as a person. And I just want to thank you for that, because that is rare in wrestling today. Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people like to come up with excuses as to why it's someone else and not them. But at the end of the day, you're just lying to yourself. So if you're real with yourself, you can answer your own question. Why them and not me?
That's very true. That's a life lesson for all of us. So, how long were you in Stardom?
I was there just shy of 4 months. And so when I returned back to Canada again, I was still wrestling full time, and my bookings in the US were picking up a lot at this point. And so I was traveling a lot back and forth between all over Canada and the United States. And I did some Europe trips. I had lucky enough a fan that liked me so much that he paid my flights over there and put me up at his flat. He wasn't creepy. I'll just preface it by saying that. Put me up at his flat and would like pay for my meals and pay for when we went out to the pub and stuff. And so I was able to just go to the gym and train and wrestle while I was over there. I did two UK trips. And in that time, I wrestled in England, Ireland, or Northern Ireland, I should say, Germany, and I also had a trip to China in between that time as well. So total of 8 countries. We say Canada, the United States, Mexico, Japan, China, England, Northern Ireland, Germany. That's all 8.
Wow,
So I was just kind of living the rock star life.
I'm telling you.
I was broke, but I was happy. And that's all that matters, you know?
Oh yeah. And you were getting to do something that you loved. I mean, who could ask for more?
You can't put a price tag on that.
Wow. So where did your career go from there?
So while in the midst of all this traveling, Kelly Klein, who used to be the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, she somehow found out who I was. I think it was because she was getting a booking in Canada, so she looked up the girl she was wrestling against, and she saw a lot of matches with me. And then she watched her matches with other people and realized how good I made the girl look. So she just kind of found me one day and was like, "You're a really good wrestler." I was like, "What? Thanks." And so she encouraged me to come out to this Ring of Honor tryout. And I did so. It was in Baltimore in, I want to say, 2018. And they liked me enough that they said, you know, we're not going to offer you a contract per se, but like you can be part of our developmental system. You can come here, you can train for free anytime you want. When we do the Future of Honor shows, we'll put you on those, and sometimes we'll put you on regular Ring of Honor. So I wanted to relocate to Baltimore, but my family at the time was in Rhode Island. So, I mean, far enough away that it's annoying, but not far enough away that like I couldn't make the drive.
Right.
So I just made a friend out in Baltimore and was like, "Hey, whenever I'm out here, can I like crash with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." So I would spend my time going back and forth between Rhode Island and Baltimore, and then all of my other bookings, whether they were local or international. And that's kind of how things left off. Management changed in Ring of Honor a number of times while I was kind of there. And then eventually it got to a point where I was like, I don't even know who the booker is anymore. And if I know their name, I don't even I've never spoken to them in my life. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall that like they weren't really going to do anything with me. And, you know, not to point any fingers, because I could have done more for myself too, certainly. But, you know, COVID was happening. I was reaching the point in time where I felt like I needed to retire. And I was getting divorced all at the same time. So I kind of hit a huge block. But I didn't let it stop me. I decided that I wanted to help people train, and I kind of bounced around between friends. That friend that let me stay with him in Baltimore, he lived in North Carolina. So I went out and stayed with him in North Carolina for a bit. I helped out with training there at High Spots with Caleb Conley and Caprice Coleman for a little bit, and you know, bounced around until I got an opportunity to move to Minnesota, where I am now, and start booking for an independent company out here. And as of last Wednesday, 1 week ago today, my wrestling school, The Hive, opened here in Minnesota. So,
all right, congratulations!
It's a happy ending.
Well, congratulations!
Thank you.
So the transition from being a full-time wrestler to a trainer, is it, I want to use the right word, is it meaningful to help the next class of wrestlers for you?
Yeah. I was already kind of doing it because I was looked upon as like a veteran, a trustworthy veteran that could help out a lot of girls that were new while I was still wrestling. It's a blessing and a curse because they always put you with the new girls, and then you're like, damn, man, I never get to shine. But that was my job, so I did it. And I absolutely love helping people wrestle and figure this out. It's something that none of us will ever have fully figured out, I don't think. But like, say for example, when I was in Japan, I was just telling this story yesterday. Chelsea was like wanting extra ring time outside of training because she was like, I need to work on like my stuff. And I go with her and come up with offense. And I've just always got it. See what people excel in and come up with ideas for them. My friends used to come to me when they'd have to cut a promo and say like, so I've got this match coming up with this person and this is the storyline that's happening. Like, what should I say for my promo? And I'd be able to cut a promo as them. And they're like, oh, that's great. I'm going to steal that word for word. And I'm like, go for it. So I knew I always had a mind for the other side of the business. It's a big step to think like I deserve to train people. But there are so many schools out there with great, credible coaches that have had, WWE careers or have been signed to major companies, and I never really have. But then you also, on the other flip side, have schools where it's complete jabronis who have never left a 40-mile radius from their house training people. So I'm like, if people are going to be doing that, at least I'm somewhere in the middle.
Well, I was going to say, with your background and everything that you have done in your career, you are more than credible as a trainer. I mean, hell, there are wrestlers who wrestled 20, 30 years, have never left their state. So
Yeah.
you have so many, you've trained under different styles, different techniques. That is, why wouldn't I want to train under you?
Thank you. I think so too. It's all about rebuilding my confidence, and I think I'm finally where I need to be.
Well, I mean, I'm just impressed with your longevity, one, where you've wrestled at, and knowing people in the business, and you're grounded. That's the best word I can use, because you could be bitter, you could be happy, you could have a chip on your shoulder, but I sense none of that from you. And why would I want to train with someone who's bitter that they didn't make it? I'm not going to trust them, because my first thought is, man, you take liberties with me, I'm going to have to teach you a couple of things that you don't know. So,
yeah. No, it's I have no like resentment towards the wrestling business whatsoever, because the wrestling business actually didn't owe me anything. Just because I worked hard and I busted my ass for as long as I did, if nothing ever happened for me, that's not like, I'm not owed that. So, these are lessons you learn as you age. I just turned 36 about 2 weeks ago. So it's changed my perspective on life a lot. And I got to do some amazing things in wrestling that some people only dream about and never get the chance to do. So for me to be bitter after having accomplished what I did just feels like a slap in the face to all the hard work that I did.
That is a great way of looking at it. it makes me feel like, and it's kind of the attitude that I carry. I've never been in the business. So when I start doing podcasts and getting to meet wrestlers and talk to them, I'm always very respectful and humble for what y'all do and did for the business. And then to be told that I bring something to the business and they're happy to see how I do my interviews and go out to get independent guys and girls so they could tell their story. It
Yeah.
means a lot. It means a lot, and I think that it's a tremendous thing to help people, and I love it. And it sounds like that's. I think you're gonna make more of an impact being a trainer, and you're gonna get known better as a trainer than as a wrestler, and that's not a bad thing.
Not at all. And I hope you're right. Lord knows I'm probably making more money now than I did when I was wrestling full time. So that's a bit of a relief. And you know, my greatest wish is just to see my students do well. And if they're doing well, then I'm doing well.
So, how big a wrestling class do you have right now?
I believe we have 13 people signed up. Now, they don't always all show up at the same time as each other. So, I mean, I've taught classes of 2, and I've taught classes of 13. I actually used to help Ken Anderson teach at his school as well, and he'd have like a class of 30. So, I can kind of adapt to whatever the class size is.
Oh, that's good. And I wouldn't think any different, because if you can adapt from the American style of wrestling to Mexico to Japan to England, you'll be fine. Well, so if I was if I wanted to try to join your wrestling school, what would I need to do?
You need to contact me, which you can do on Instagram at Kaitlin Diemond and on Facebook at Kaitlin Diemond. Send me a message. I'll ask you a series of questions about your experience level and what you want out of wrestling, and then we'll take it from there. But you got to be in Rosemont, Minnesota, at least a few times a week to really get your money's worth.
So my last question for you, and it's a real serious one. Do you think you could train a 52-year-old person that has never stepped foot in the ring before?
Oh, I'm sure I could. I used to run, what was it? I used to run kids classes. So when we do these death tours, as a way to make extra money, they'd say, oh, we can teach the kids. So everyone just dumps their kids off on us. And I've had to teach, 9-year-olds how to lock up. So if I can teach a 9-year-old, I'm sure I could teach a 52-year-old.
Well, that 52-year-old is me, and I couldn't do it even if I wanted to. I just was curious. I was just curious to see what your answer was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I take on anyone who wants to come. So no matter what your age is, well, I mean, you have to have parents' permission if you're a certain age, but
Right.
No matter what your age is, no matter what your life story is, no matter what size you are, what color you are, what religion you are, what sexual orientation you are, I'm here for you.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that. So, do you want to give any shout outs, any praise, anything? The time is now and the floor is yours.
Well, everyone out there should be watching the best independent wrestling company, in my opinion, because I'm the one that books it. It's called Ironheart Pro Wrestling. It's on IWTV. You can see a number of my students on these shows. And I really find a way to book the best talent, both locally and internationally, for these events. We're picking up a lot of steam now. So I would shout out Ironheart Pro Wrestling, which you can also find on Instagram and Facebook. That we do have some older stuff on YouTube, but definitely look us up on IWTV.
That is cool. Do you have a website for your school yet?
I do not. I'm told there is one being in process of being made. So I should have one by the end of next month, as far as I know. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But otherwise, I'm really easy to find and get a hold of. All of my profiles are public, and I respond to messages pretty quickly.
I was going to say, I can definitely say you do, because you responded to me quickly. So I appreciate you and know you're not lying about that.
No worries.
I want to thank you for doing the interview. It has been such a pleasure to have you on, to learn you as your journey as a wrestler, your journey as a trainer and a booker, and I hope for more success for you. And you have an open invitation anytime you would like to come on. The door is open, and
okay.
even if you have some of your trainees that you feel like need to do some interviews,
definitely
come my way. We can work it out.
Absolutely. I'm sure this won't be the last of me, and I'm sure you'll make some connections from students of mine as well. So thank you for the opportunity to let me come on and talk and tell my story and plug my multiple businesses.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I love independent wrestling, and if there's anything in the world that I can do to help promote, help get you out there, get you, hey, I may get you 5 more fans, or I may get you 500, who knows, but I am willing and able to help any way I can. So again, thank you, and enjoy your flowers, because a lot of people don't get their flowers when they can enjoy them. They get them after you're gone. You are here. You are doing amazing work, and I want to thank you for that.
Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. I'll try to enjoy my flowers. It's a weird feeling, because you're taught to kind of just no-sell everything and pretend you suck all the time is basically what we do as wrestlers, because we don't want to come across as arrogant or anything like that. But I appreciate you shouting me out and giving me this opportunity, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Yes, we will. And before I let you go, make sure you join our Facebook page and promote everything. I mean, we encourage promotion. So promote your I got tongue tied. Promote your promotion, promote your school, promote whatever you do and you want, promote it there. We encourage it. We love wrestling.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
All righty. Thank you again. Guys, girls, thank you for sticking with me in this. Man, this has been one great interview, and it was a great trip around the world. So thank you for hanging in there with me, and we will catch you next time on the Bear's Thought. Y'all have a great evening, and remember, 2 paws up.